So here's another video showing how the new versions take out things. Now you can do this too. Again, just go to Bible Hub and let's say pick a book of the Bible. And in this case, I kind of know where I'm going, but we're going to Revelation. And you can see for yourself. So you might be finding some that people aren't aware of yet because maybe they just didn't talk about it. But so if we go to Revelation, in this case, I'm going to go to, you can follow along, Revelation chapter 1, verse 8. Now remember the warning about adding or removing from the Bible, from the Word of God. It says, God says, and you call it a threat, or you could call it a promise. God, threatens that that person will not go to heaven. So you can read that warning at the end of Revelation where the person's not going to have a part in the holy city. So if we go to Revelation 1 8, and sorry about these ads, ads everywhere these days. I'm going to read, again, the King James Bible. I am Alpha and Omega. Now, before I start, this is God speaking, so I'm not. So God says this. This is what God says in the Bible. It's God's book. So this is God speaking through his word. And if you didn't know that, if someone's watching this video, I think most people know that, but the Bible is the word of God, and you see God speaking through it. And in this case, here's an example of Revelation 1 8. So, King James Bible, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. So, the new versions take out, in this case, quite a bit here. In this case, you see, if you just read along, it's really easy side by side to compare it. They take out the beginning and the ending. They take it out. But not only that, but they also take out which is and which was and which is to come, the Almighty. So this part, which is and which was and which is to come, Jesus existed before the foundation of the world. So before the heaven, before the heaven, before earth and heaven were created, or you could even say, the heavens. Um, but the context is important because I'm just saying that because if we go here, just not to get sidetracked, but sometimes the new versions change stuff, like I said, to make more money, and they switch it to heavens in Genesis 1:1 when in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. Now the Bible does talk about like the third heaven, and so the new version said, "Oh, this should be heavens instead of heaven." God wanted it to be heaven, and that's that. So you don't need to change Genesis 1:1 to heavens, and I think I might have a video on that. But back to Revelation 1 8, just it's showing Genesis for something, but it should be Revelation. They take out, again, not only do they take out the part that says the beginning and the ending, but they also take out which and which was and which is to come, which I'm sorry, which is and which was and which is to come, the Almighty. And if we look at the Berean one right before, it says who was and who is coming, but they take out which is. So it looks like they had who was and they have is coming, but they forgot which is. So I mean, right now God's still around. He doesn't ever cease to exist because he's everlasting. And so by them, like in the Berean Bible, who was, they almost make it sound like, oh, God's no longer, but he's going to come again one day because it has who was, like, but they're missing which is. So right there, it should be a sign that it's off. And then, like, the other translations say something else. And just so you know, that they take stuff out. And again, to get a copyright to make more money. So that's why they do that. Some of them have the beginning and the end, but again, the beginning and the ending. So they disagree with each other. Even the newer translations that came out hundreds of years later, they disagree with each other. So again, part of that reason is to make money so they can get a copyright. And that being said, don't mess with the Word of God. We have the warnings in Revelation. So if you think you're going to make a Bible and take that out and take that out and create a new Bible that way, well, God has a promise of if you do those things and that you won't have a part in the holy city, and that's talking about New Jerusalem. So you won't be going to heaven if you decide to make a Bible and go against, if you know what you're doing, going against the Bible and then making changes just because you want to, and you don't like the Word of God or something, let's say, and you just started trying to make your own Bible up, and again, God's the judge, so He kind of knows, too, whether these people that made some of these new translations, if they did it on purpose. Now, not everyone was doing it on purpose, and again, then God's going to be the judge. I'm not, but the warnings are there for people not to do that, because otherwise, I think without those warnings, more people would be trying to make, because a lot of times people think, well, you know, they think that they can translate it somehow and that they should translate it this or that. But, if you haven't seen the other videos, why the Bible is the Word of God, and you can check that out. But these new versions, again, take things out and remove things and even add things. So you've been warned.